Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Cold Open Cup. For those of you keeping track at home, we are now officially done with the matches for the round of 64 weekend. And the only thing left to do to round out this wonderful first week of matches is to show you guys what you guys will be doing next weekend in the round of 32. Welcome to the round of 32 map pool showcase. As always, my name is Sparky and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Rhymes with Mash. Mash, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Sparky. Looking forward to getting into some of this pool, taking a look at what you guys will be facing off on the round of 32. Before that, you want to go over a couple stats with me from the round of 64. So, something rather interesting is that, as many of you may have expected if you've been sticking around the streams, the most picked map is Hybrid 1, Strange Inventor. However, it was also tied to be the most banned map. It was picked 21 times and banned 10 times, tied with LN2.
Yeah, pretty surprising overall. Would have thought that the Rice maps, given the propensity for, I don't want to say beginner players, I think we can kind of remove that moniker at this point. Everybody here definitely earning their spot in this tournament. But the general tendency, usually the Rice maps are the most favored. It's nice to see something outside of that being the most popular pick in the pool.
Yeah, and here we've got the stat sheet up for you guys. This will be released. And you can see that the average AC percentage is around 99.5. Really solid performances, you guys. We're seeing a lot of V1 SSs. You can see the Ukti boys especially dominated the top team scores with 4 number ones.
Yeah, unsurprising. A very, very early game oriented team. Captioned off by Ferdicia, a very well-known accuracy-oriented player, so definitely taking some plaudits there, and maybe something to watch out for. Ukti boys in the lower half of the seedings here, so a little bit of a shark in the water for those still in the winners bracket. Definitely want to watch out for them. But I think, unless you have any other stats you want to point out here, Mash?
Something to note, all of you who were complaining about the easy 1-star LN, it did have the second lowest individual score, so...
Yeah, definitely cannot take any map for granted, even the 1-star LN maps. But without further ado, I think we've kept the players waiting long enough. We can go ahead and move on to the round of 32 map pool showcase, and we're going to start it off. I think we start these off in the similar order. We're going to start off with the Rice, move into the LNs, and go into the hybrids here. We're going to start things off with Rice 1. It's going to be a custom chart made by myself, replayed by myself as well. I got a pretty nice score I was proud of on this. It's going to be Kitsune Squared. Never want to be a hero.
Yeah, and we do have a prediction live while we get into this. How many anime girls total across all the backgrounds will there be for this pool? You can get a bit of a spoiler for this first one. It does not count. Sparky does not count as an anime girl.
Yeah, I do not count here. But with that being said, Rice 1 gonna be a bit of a step up from Hoshino from round of 64. Going to lower the overall BPM just a little bit here, but it's going to make up for it in terms of the overall density of the map. As you can already see here, very much in that jump stream category.
Yeah, these it's a pretty standard pick. You can see these kind of broken jump streams and kind of organized in bursts of 5, if I'm counting right. And don't go to sleep during this pick, because there are some of these mini jacks on the outer columns that you will have to worry about.
Yeah, for sure. That being said, if you can handle the overall speed of the map, there aren't really that many curveballs thrown at you. It's just when the beat drops and the chorus hits, those mini jacks do start to make their appearance. That's probably the hardest part of this map overall. You do get a bit of a break, a bit of an interlude as you make your way into the back half of the map, but it's basically rehash of the beginning. So if you get out of the first half, the second half shouldn't be that much of a problem as well.
Yeah, at 2 minutes 37 seconds, this is pretty reminiscent of last round's Rice 1, which was also very consistency jump stream focused. I would say it's not a perfect perfect comparison, but it's pretty similar if you found luck there last time.
Yeah, for sure. We're going from that like 1/3, 1/6 base of Hoshino to like a pure 1/4 oriented jump stream map. So maybe something a little bit more conventional if you found yourself struggling a little bit with the overall swingy nature of Hoshino. Maybe this can be more up your alley. That being said, trying to keep that consistency throughout this entire map is going to be of the utmost importance. I know when I was playtesting this, when I was creating it, I could find myself just dropping random 200s here and there. As you can see, finish this run off with a couple 200s, and that can make all the difference as you start to close ranks a little bit in terms of seeding.
Yeah, very nice replay from Sparky herself. And this will take us into our Rice 2.
Yep, and this is another custom map made for this round. It's going to be Logan636's chart of Whispers from a Distant Star. This is going to be our speed map of the pool. We're going to be cranking up that BPM just a little bit here compared to Arcade Busters from round of 64. So you can see a bit of a calm start here at the beginning. Do keep in mind that this replay is done with mirrors, so everything that you're seeing is going to be flipped around when you do download the map and practice it. You might think this is a very gentle introduction. This first quarter of the map is basically just a bit of a primer. Once it kicks off, you don't find yourself getting that much of a break, so
Yeah, after this pretty calm intro, here we go, right into it. Compared to Rice 1, this is a more consistency stream pick. It's kind of even reminiscent of Logan's qualifier map, if you want to go that way.
yeah, just without...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just without all the random dumpy bits, this is basically just streamlined.
Yeah, it's very continuous, and there are some little trills every once in a while, so it does have like that tiny bit of discomfort element to it as well. So again, don't go to sleep while playing these picks, don't lose focus. It's kind of easy to slip up.
Yeah, and in true Logan fashion, does give us those little bits of embellishment to really keep you on your toes. A couple of flams, a couple of grace notes, not as intrusive as maybe the qualifier was that they did, but definitely still something to watch out for. It's been a bit of a trend. Round 64, you had Hoshino had a couple of those little grace notes thrown in there, just add that little bit of spice to the pick overall. But yeah, I mean, if you could handle Arcade Busters, this is basically not stylistically a little bit different. Definitely has a little bit more jumps in it, but the jumps aren't as intrusive as something like Rice 1 in the pool. It's a very much single note oriented.
Very nice SS replay. With that, we can move on to our Rice 3 by Mifa. This is Temptation of Desires, the hard difficulty.
Yeah, another very impressive score getting pulled out here. Gotta love. Always nice to see, instead of pulling down the scroll speed, pulling it up.
Yeah, we've got a slower jacky kind of start. You can expect to have really high accuracy to start here. This is our mixed rice pick, one of two actually, and so we will see some more variation later on.
Yeah, right now just laying the groundwork for what is to come. You start to see the song start to pick up, some of these jumps start to come in. A couple of little techie bursts, very short, but definitely want to pay attention while you're reading your way through them. A couple of flams as well.
Yeah, some trills, the bursts, a denser kind of trill, split trill, jump trill every once in a while. Some flams. It's got pretty much everything you could want in a mixed rice pick.
Yeah, and still at a manageable BPM. You're not having to send your fingers flying everywhere. But definitely do want to watch out for some of those more syncopated rhythms. It goes from like those 1/4 and it starts to slow down a little bit, become 1/3. Might trip you up a little bit if you're trying to harp on the accuracy. Transitioning through those different snaps might be a bit of a cause for bother here. As we transition into the last quarter of the map, it starts to become more of a broken jump stream type of section. Get away from those jacks, mini jacks, and grace notes into something a little bit more conventional. But it's the transitions that can really catch you off guard if you're not paying too much attention.
It cools down, a couple flams here and there. Don't mess up on those, and you should
And
be golden.
yep, and definitely don't forget the last two notes. Don't want to lose a run to taking your hands off the keyboard. Please wait until the playfield disappears
Yes,
uh,
yes.
before exiting the ride. But with that being said, that will do it for our first of the two mixed rice picks. We're going to move on to rice 4 here. It's going to be Ulster Project's Wicked Cross.
Yeah, this is not really the kind of song I think of when I hear Oster Project, but it is a banger nonetheless. You can expect to see something pretty similar to kind of Rice 3. I think there's less emphasis on jacks, if I recall correctly. This replay is made by Frostno, hence the replayer name.
Yeah, gotta love the custom replayer names. And right out of the gate, we get some long notes. This is officially a hybrid map mash.
Who put these
By all
noodles in my
metrics.
rice?
Who do be putting these noodles in my rice? And this one pretty reminiscent to, like you were saying, Rice 3. I think it cites the first word in that song title from round of 64. Those have the alternating, varying snaps on the transitions as well. But if you can handle the bursts from Rice 3, this should be more of the same. Maybe just a little bit denser, a little bit more physically demanding. But not too big of a jump. Definitely can still be in the comfort range for a lot of players still left.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you with no stamina, this is one of your shorter picks in the pool. We are getting into slightly longer picks now in round of 32, but this one's sticking around at 145, similar to the round of 64.
Yeah, I feel like that might be a bit of a trend here. The BPM picks up a little bit. Got to make the maps a little bit shorter. Don't want people playing for too long, especially once we get into these later, harder maps. So last quarter of the map still to go. Bit of a reprise of the second quarter. Just these jumps, rolls, very staircase oriented, and then transitioning into those 1/3. Last couple of notes. And once again, don't take your hands off the keyboard before the ride is over. Hit that last staircase and you're out of the map.
Pretty cut and dry pick. And Next up is probably one of my favorite maps to listen to. It is Valscotch. Now this is, I feel like, kind of a rhythmic techie pick. It is 1/6 all the way down.
Yeah, this is definitely a step up from Moon Halo. I feel like we can kind of reverse the roles a little bit. I feel like Termination of Desires might be that Moon Halo replacement. This definitely a little bit of a outlier in its own right. Doesn't really have an analog to anything in the round of 64 pool. Definitely one of the harder maps to get good ratio on just by sheer nature of these swingy 1/6 patterns. It's very easy to crush them a little bit, flam them inadvertently, and drop 200s. That being said, if you're not super comfortable reading 1/6, this can prove to be a bit of a nightmare to get a good score on. Like, everybody should be able to maybe pull off an FC. It's just a matter of keeping the 300s and 200 counts to a minimum.
Yeah, some of these bursty streams are something to look out for being on 1/6. They might be a little faster than you think. Look out. Another kind of polyrhythmic build up as we get into the chorus. We've got these flams here. Keep your eyes out. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's very easy to misinterpret some of the rhythms going on in the chart, at least in comparison to the song, especially when those bursts start to come out. And you can find yourself just hitting your keyboard a little bit, trying to reorient yourself through the second third of the map. It does calm down after a little bit. It becomes more broken single note jumps here and there as the breakdown starts to really come through. That one trill in the middle could be a bit of a spot of bother. If you don't hit it cleanly, that could be a spot for a lot of accuracy to be dropped.
Yeah, as Dynascape did mention, this is probably one of the more physical maps in the pools. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw lower average scores here, not only because of the faster note speed, but also because of these really tricky rhythms that we've been emphasizing.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely wanted to introduce a tech pick that wasn't like non-trivial. Definitely wanted to provide a bit of a challenge. We saw that Moon Halo wasn't really played all that much. That being said, this was pulled well in advance of us knowing what the trends were going to be. But it was pretty interesting nonetheless to see that. So maybe a bit of a test for some of the more physically oriented teams to try and sink their teeth into here to round out the rice pool.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting pick for sure. And that'll finish out our rice pool, like you said, and we can move on to LN1.
Yep, gonna start off the LN pool, and it's gonna be Rapid's Psycha hard, or LN Expert hard difficulty. And I think the overall trend with the LNs in this pool, don't want to give too much away before we show off the rest of the maps, but we're definitely starting to ramp up a little bit of the coordination element found in these LN charts. So maybe the physicality might not go up as much as some players were expecting. Definitely want to start paying attention to whether or not you can hold on to a consistent basically a consistent platform to get good ratio on. Definitely noted in some of the matches during commentary that a lot of players seem to have a propensity to chop off the tail ends of their LNs, and it really does affect your score after a while. So definitely wanted to see if we could push the overall limit inadvertently of some of those that may struggle with coordinating anchored LNs. So as we make our way further, you do get a little bit of breaks here and there from the constant string of single LNs with a couple of rice sections thrown in, a bit of a palette cleanser as you make your way through the map, because trying to keep yourself oriented and engaged on a map like this can be a bit of a challenge in and of itself, especially if you're not one who enjoys playing LN maps all that much.
Yeah, and as we reach the ending here, we can get back into the more involved long note sections. You can see a little bit faster, and every once in a while, you're getting 2 hold notes at once. How challenging is that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we said that with the 1-star LN. How challenging could it be? And look what happened. So,
Mhm.
definitely don't want to take any map for granted. And I feel like this LN pool will really start to shape up where we're going in terms of trying to get you guys acquainted with LNs. Please play LNs. LNs are so much fun. But
It's
we can
worth it.
move on. It's worth it. It's very much worth it. As we move on, our LN2 map is going to be Senen no Kotowari, a Nekomata Master song. Definitely love this artist.
Yeah, always a treat to have Nekomata Master. You may have noticed that some of these long note picks do have a lot of rice. And you might be complaining, well, hey, this is just a second hybrid pool. To which I respond, these LN pools are a lot more focused on coordination, whereas you'll see that the hybrid pool is more based on physicality. Having really dense long notes would probably end up having the long note pool be really hard, and so this is how we are balancing it out to make the scaling appropriate but not going overboard.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely want to have a bit of a springboard. Consider this, actually, that's actually the best word to describe it. This is a bit of a springboard for the LN section moving forward. I think I was talking to Mash before the stream started that it might feel a little hand-holdy the way we're approaching the LNs, but believe me, this might be one of the last pools where you see LN charts like this, where not basically a light hybrid. It'll start to develop their own characteristics. We're going to start to see that traditional quote-unquote LN pooling style where you're going to have coordination, maybe a release, and maybe something a bit wild cardy moving forward. But we definitely wanted to make sure that the teams that are moving through have those LN fundamentals to see them through, because if you don't have the LN fundamentals, then you're just going to fall apart on the LN picks and become easy pickings for those teams that have the LN fundamentals in the bag. So as we make it to these endings, you start to see the coordination elements we're talking about start to pick up a little bit. These alternating holds and releases definitely can prove to be a spot of bother if you're not used to doing 3-note style coordination. And just like that, the song is over.
Yeah, certainly that pick does get a lot harder near the end. You can see the one-handed releases, or the one-handed pickups, I guess, rather, start to come in, and the coordination really amps up. Also, that's a really good score.
Yeah, that's a very quote unquote disgusting score. Definitely matchable. There are definitely some players that are good at LNs that can possibly do this, but we haven't seen a 999 yet, and the pool is going to get a little harder. Might have been the last chance to get one of those, but I'm used to eating my words on commentary, so I'll leave it up to you guys to prove me wrong. And with that, we can move on to LN3.
And personally, I really love this song. I used to actually have this map favorited for a while. It is kind of... Well, I'll just let the map speak for itself first. Let's get into it. It has the countdown as well.
Yeah, I gotta love that countdown. And we get to see our first Ravale map in the pool. Bit of a gentle introduction. I think those that have been playing for a while have probably encountered Ravale in the ranked section. This is, I would say, the hardest LN map in the pool. Not by star rating, but I think just in terms of what's being asked of you to do.
Yeah, this is, as you can tell, definitely one of the more tamer LN maps in the pool. It does have a BPM listed at 176, but I'd probably cut that in half, honestly.
Yeah, I think the 176 is just for snapping purposes, keeping it all in check. It's definitely plays like a halftime jam as you're playing your way through, but coordinating the rice in between some of these LNs is going to be the real order of business for this map.
Yeah, whatever you do not lift up your finger. I know it's hard. Do not lift up your finger while you hit some of these chords.
Yeah, that tends to be the tendency for players getting acquainted with LN for the first time, or at least taking a serious dive into it. We start to see the introduction of some really, really slow shield, reverse shield patterns as well in this map. Hitting that jack efficiently is going to be pretty interesting to see. But with that being said, that will do it for the LN pool. I think Mash was prefacing it pretty nicely. I think we can, as we move on to the hybrids, you can see it's a bit of a spike overall in terms of physicality. And we have Hybrid 1. It's going to be Far Away by Synergy Sound. Replay done by our spreadsheet coordinator, Epsilon. So shout out to them for pulling this one off.
He's also the one streaming right now, so thank you.
Really does it all.
And like I was saying earlier, you will be seeing a somewhat more physical representation of hybrids here compared to the control-based hybrids. Well, I say hybrids, but the more control-based long notes that we were seeing in the LN pool.
Yeah, definitely splitting up that map pool between top half and bottom half here. So if you didn't feel like the LNs were challenging enough, maybe the hybrids will be something to get into, especially if you can handle the rice elements in them, because they are, I would say, on par with some of the rice charts that we have in this pool.
Yeah, some of these streams are actually pretty tricky, and then as we launch into the meat of the song, we get short LNs, some simple, shorter LNs, and it's just kind of a lot to deal with in this pick, so you gotta be on your toes.
Yeah, this one definitely a little bit techier, or on the techier side. Maybe just a bit of a step up from Strange Inventor. Really start to throw in that mixture of LNs and rice. At least in the context of this pool, definitely still doable. I imagine we're going to see some pretty high scores on this map, but maybe not as high as what we saw in stuff like Strange Inventor.
That is the goal.
Yeah, it definitely. I would be very worried if players got higher scores on this than on Strange Inventor. But, I mean, people have strange tendencies. It's really interesting seeing in a team environment what players are able to do in order to achieve some really complementary scores to each other.
Yeah, honestly, I might even call this kind of a buffed Metan Pandora,
That's a
which
really
I
good way
know
of putting it.
was a very popular pick last round. It has like kind of bursty, broken rice that we just saw alongside some kind of intrusive long notes. If you found success in Metan Pandora, this might be the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. That, and I mean, when these drops hit, it's just so satisfying hitting some of these transitions between the LNs into the rice and being able to basically marvelous your way through it. Makes you feel really good as you make your way through it, and as this map starts to wind down, some of these bursts start to reach their conclusion. A lot of these short LNs make their reappearance. Just puts a nice little bow on this map overall. Longest one we've seen in the pool so far, clocking in at just over 3 minutes. And with that being said, that will do it for Hybrid 1. We're going to move on to Hybrid 2. It's going to be one of my personal favorite maps in this pool. It's going to be Dashi, the sped up version. Recently ranked, I remember the last time I saw this. It was in the graveyard, and I'm so happy that it finally finished up getting the spread and getting ranked, because this is a very nice chart.
Yeah, I do like the song, do like the chart. It's got 7 key difficulties. This
Not
was
biased.
the song was featured in Alter's US Mania tournament. That's where I know it from. But not the rank set. Let's get into the 4-key set. Enough about 7-key.
We're not a 7-key tournament, Mash.
Sorry, I got a little carried away.
All the 7-key enjoyers can rejoice with the other maps in this set, but this one will be the one that we'll be putting you guys through. This one, the LN difficulty, like if you thought that Far Away was hard in terms of coordinating some of the LN patterns there, this one is pretty inconspicuous. It takes a while for the real meat of the song or the meat of the chart to hit, but when it hits, if you're not ready for it, it will take you out like getting hit by a truck, honestly.
Yeah, don't get isekai'd.
Pretty much. So yes, as we make our way, we're already a third of the way into the map, and there's yet to be any real LN difficulty. You might be wondering, like, where is it? Here it is. These short LN trills, on the one hand, are so abrasive to hit and stay consistent on as you make your way through this section. It doesn't last for too long, thankfully, but the damage can really be done if you're not super comfortable handling those little trills on the hand, and it alternates between your left and right, so even if you put mirror on, you're gonna have to deal with it one way or another. The good thing is that you get a break as you make your way into the last third of the map.
Yeah, I think this contrasts in a pretty interesting way compared to Hybrid 1. It does have, I think, fewer long notes. The Rice is a little more straightforward, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Hybrid 1 is pretty techy, actually, when you're playing it.
Yeah, but this one, we decided to basically drip feed some of that difficulty. This transition into this last key eye section, again, when the LN sections do hit, they hit really hard. So definitely tread with caution if you want to try and challenge this song in match. Can definitely see a lot of really good runs and on that last key eye section, if not the section before it, where it was a lighter introduction to those one-hand LNs start to really coalesce into that ending. So it'll be nice to see. It's gonna be a bit of a challenge, but we think that you guys can rise up to it and basically put up some impressive scores like you guys did last weekend. And with
And
that being said, Mash.
yeah, that's the end of our conventional pool, as you might put it. And that only leaves one map left, and that is our tiebreaker, which is none other than the Mama Yudofu remix of Endless by Psyche.
Yeah, this is what I think the kids call a banger of a song. Replay was done by one of our commentators, Walmart, Mr. 1x200 themselves. Gotta love the black flags on the tiebreakers. And I feel like this is going to be a pretty nice primer for what to expect moving forward in this tournament. We really wanted to make sure that the teams that find themselves in the situation where they go to tiebreaker are going to be capable of proving themselves to be in the round of 16 and onwards. So this is going to be a bit of a jump, kind of like how Backbeat Maniac was to round of 64. This is definitely a bit of a jump from the rest of the conventional round of 32 pool.
I'm a big fan of this map, personally.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of my favorite charts by How to Play LN. And you see once the first drop comes, you see these broken jump streams with the LN impact transitions, the short ones disconnected from their releases. So trying to coordinate those hanging releases going to be of the utmost importance to try and keep those 200 counts to a minimum. But overall, basically a spread of these jump stream sections going into the LN impacts during these drops, and basically keeping your composure and juggling in between. A lot of the stop and go motion can throw you off if you have nerves or if you have a bit of adrenaline going through you, and you get into these impacts, these 1/4 LN bursts, and there was that 1/200 that Walmart dropped. I think another thing to point out is, I know a lot of people always ask, like, what's the star rating of the maps? If you guys notice, it's only 3.2 stars, but what's being asked of you in this chart definitely makes it feel harder than what the star rating conveys. That's why we never really answer those types of questions, because it's so deceiving sometimes. You would expect this to be somewhere along, it feels like it plays like a 3.5 or maybe like a 3.7 star, but here it is, 3.2, and you have these really long jump stream sections. They make their reappearance, and trying to keep it going for this longest map in the pool by about 30 seconds, you do finally get a break, but the damage could already be done here. You could already find yourself with a couple of misses, a couple of 200s dropped. You don't know how your teammate's doing. You don't know how the team on the other side's doing. It really just builds up that pressure on you.
And one more build up, and we get into the finish. We're seeing more long notes here, kind of reminiscent of what we saw in, I think, long note 2.
Yeah, maybe harken back to Allen 1 of the qualifiers. You get these 1-2 LNs with the Rice impacts as well. And if you can make it through that relatively unscathed, this ending does start to wind things down very nicely.
Yeah, I don't really know if I can expect a lot of FCs. However, I'm welcoming a surprise. I actually believe in the players. I think they will probably be able to surprise me here, and looking forward to seeing some great performances.
Yeah, for sure. So with that being said, that will do it for the round of 32 map pool showcase. Some last orders of business to take care of, as we did with round of 64. The schedules will be out, if not by tonight, by tomorrow morning. So you guys already know your matchups. We'll give you guys the official times later on. We'll have an announcement for that. We'll have an announcement for when the map pool is out. I think the messages are already ready once the stream concludes. The map pool and the download for the actual map pack will be included. For those of you that lost your round of 64 match, please don't leave the server. You have a match this weekend. These are going to be elimination matches. So if you did lose in round of 64, if you lose in round of 32, you will officially be eliminated from the tournament. So a lot on the line this weekend. Definitely practice the pool. Definitely make sure you coordinate a time with the captain of the other team should the time not align for your teammates. We'll do our best to accommodate any weird times, but try not to push it too far. And overall, please, we saw a couple of these happen. We were able to accommodate them, but we do have a deadline for reschedules to be posted. We understand emergencies come up, but please try and get those reschedules in before the deadline. I believe it was Thursday 0 UTC, the deadline. That will probably be the deadline once again. So please do try and get those in. Mash, do you have anything else left to say?
I think you covered it all. The sooner you reschedule, the better. Our staff would really appreciate it if you set your times early. Some of you might be wondering, I heard losers will have to play 2 matches. That's not this week. That's next weekend. That starts in round of 16. You don't have to worry about conditionals yet.
yet.
Get through round of 32 first.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely got to handle what's ahead of you before you look further. But with that being said, on behalf of all of us here on staff at the Cold Open Cup, we hope you guys have enjoyed. Have fun, practice. We'll see you guys next weekend.
Bye.